The second writing tip that I have for you folks this episode is Quentin Tarantino breaking down his writing process while he was a guest on the Joe Rogan Experience Podcast, episode 1675. About 59 minutes and 20 seconds into the episode is when he gets into it, which I will link to in the episode notes if you guys want to check it out and hear it for yourselves. But these are just my takeaways from what he was saying. And he said that before Inglourious Basterds, which is one of his movies, if you guys didn't know, he considered himself kind of an amateur writer in terms of his approach to writing. And by that, what he meant was just like writing all night long, really late nights, or going to like a restaurant or a coffee shop during the day and like ordering stuff and a bunch of cups of coffee and just like writing that way. And he didn't mean unprofessional in the sense of, not being paid for his writing or anything like that, because by that time he had already made a bunch of movies and was already Quentin Tarantino. But he meant in the sense that it wasn't structured. He didn't approach it, writing itself, in a professional manner. He would just pull all-nighters or go to coffee shops and write while he's eating and stuff like that. But he said around writing Inglourious Basterds, I don't remember if he said it was like during it or right after it, he started taking another approach, which he still is following to this day. And he described it as a process that brought him a lot of peace and made the writing process itself very enjoyable again for him. And his new process is that he'll wake up and begin writing around 10 or 11 a.m. And then he'll write straight until about 4 to 7 p.m. That'll be his normal quote-unquote work day. Then at the point at which he will cut himself off, he would have completed writing a scene or sequence. That is scenario number 1. Or scenario number 2, he's in the middle of writing a specific scene or sequence, but he cuts himself off around 4 to 7 p.m. regardless. And his approach to what he does after, whether he's written a complete scene or he's in the middle of the scene, is almost identical. He says he has like a warm water pool in his home, and he'll go down after he finishes writing, go into the pool, and if he was in the middle of a scene when he stopped, he'll think about what comes next in the scene, and he'll think about what he has written, and he'll like kind of sort of just float around and meditate on it and think about what he could have written better and ways to punch up what he had written and what is going to come next. Then he gets out of the pool and he'll write down some notes on what he just ruminated on, but he won't actually work on it. That'll be his jump off point to start working off from the next day. Similarly, if he would have completed a complete scene or sequence, he'll go in the pool the same way, meditate on what he wrote, float around, think about it, think about ways to punch it up, and start thinking about what the next scene is going to be and the direction that the story is going to start going. And similarly, he'll get out of the pool, write down some notes on it, but not actually work on it. And then the next day, that's where he picks up from. Wakes up at 10 or wakes up and then starts writing around 10 or 11 through 4 to 7 p.m. Then goes into the pool, his warm water pool, and continues that cycle. And to him, he feels that this brought like a certain amount of like structure to his writing process that has benefited him a ton. And this is somebody else who's extremely accomplished, right, in terms of being a writer, that has given us the same advice that I've shared on this podcast, whether it be Stephen King, Stephen Pressfield, Quentin Tarantino, this idea, and Lamont, this idea of having a structured specific time or window where you get your writing done that nothing can interrupt, nothing can intervene with. And establishing this routine aids tremendously, it seems, in becoming one of these prolific types of writers. And that's definitely gems right there from one of the GOATs. Wake up around 10 or 11 to start working on something that you love for a few hours and then taking a dip in your warm water pool. That's definitely writing goals.